contribution guide. So if you are gonna write up a pull request for an issue, you need to investigate, right? Of course, you need to figure out if this issue is reproducible, right? You need to figure out what's the gap, what's the bug in the source code. So ideally, you should go through a workflow like analysis phase, and then you need to go to planning phase, and then you need to go to planning proposal phase, and you need to figure out where is the gap to fill, where is the bug to fix. Is there any unit tests or integration tests you need to write up as well? And then propose some very high-level comprehensive plan to allow the human, I mean yourself as a contributor, you need to be in the loop and review that plan to figure out what's going to happen next. To make sure if that plan looks good to you, you just hit yes, go ahead, or hit maybe no, we should do something else, or no, we don't like breaking changes, we should avoid that. Yeah, so it's all about planning proposal with human in the loop for the approval gate. And then if everything looks good to you, you don't need to bother build up the environment yourself. There is a sub-agent doing the local branch fork and build up the repository ready for code. And then we are going to the next phase for another implementation specialist, a sub-agent, doing all the coding. You write up the unit tests, write up the integration tests, following the approved plan from the planner. And after that, we'll go to the validation phase, in which we have 3 sub-agents coming up doing the validation in different dimension in parallel, like test engineer, like QA specialist, like documentation specialist doing the validation. And finally, we need a review phase in which we will bring up 2 sub-agents for security review as well as regression review running in parallel. So this is a self-review phase in case we have something very security concern or regression concern. We should bring up those concerns and address immediately. And then we go to the we synthesize the review report as a final report for the final approval. And it's like, hey, we have implemented our plan and write up like 2 unit tests and refresh our integration tests and regenerate our snapshots as well. And no security, no regression concern. The PR should be ready to go. Are you that sounds good to you? So you have the final review to make sure that everything is aligned and expected. And if you are good, then move back to human to submit the PR, to get commit and submit the PR. So if you look at this pipeline, we have at least 2 phases with human in the loop. The first one is the planning approval phase. You need to understand what's going to happen next to address this issue or fix this bug, implement this feature. How to implement this feature? Do we really need a PR for that, or is this just something we just need to have a workaround? It's all about approval phase. And another phase is for the final approval. We want to build an experience like if you are a contributor, you are very aware of the issue. You are responsible to submit a PR. You just kick off these workflows as simply as like this. For example, contribute to some issue URL. And what's happening here is the skill will pick up, and the diagram, ASCII diagram will come up and let you know, hey, we are gonna go through this pipeline from the analysis phase to the final phase. It's just like a pipeline, and ask you, hey, are you ready to go? And if you are comfortable, and you just hit yes, and then you will see a sub-agent coming up doing the issue analysis. and the planning proposal, and then eventually bring up another diagram to tell you, hey, this is current behavior, and that is our expected behavior using a very high level ASCII diagram like this. And what is our solution looks like? Okay, so our solution is to address this issue by creating a new class, for example, something like that. So it's pretty much high level, but you are always able to dive into a very comprehensive Markdown document to see all the implementation details. So you are responsible and accountable for this plan. If this looks good to you, you just hit yes and goes to the pipeline. So that is pretty much about it. I probably don't have the full time to go to it, but I would like to show you how to kick it off. Okay. Okay. So how many times I
go for it. We got to see it kick off.
Okay, at least we need to see how to get it kick off, right? Okay, so this is Kiro, but hopefully every IDE that support skill should have very similar experience. We want to ensure that we have the same experience. So let's say if we are seeing an issue on GitHub, for example, and that issue, for example, you submit an issue, right? And you know the issue very well, and you want to submit a pull request along with that issue, and hopefully, and get the PR review as well. So let's say, for example, if we need to address this issue, okay, for example, we are seeing some new Bedrock models coming up this week, like a QN coder, something like that, and we want to, for example, if we want to fill a gap, right? And let's say, for example, okay, for example, this one, I want to, and you've seen that we have people triage this issue. And then I want to kick off the PR contribution process. Then I just need to make sure I install this skill. So when the skill is published, you will be allowed to install the skill directly from GitHub. But for now, I'm installing from local. So let's say if we have installed this skill, the skill will be available here in the steering tab. And you just kick off the process like, hey, using your natural language, I want to contribute to this issue. And what's happening next is a project-wise steering document will pick up, and you'll see that CDK contribution skill is activated, right? And then coming up, you will see this diagram. Okay, so welcome to CDK contribution skill. We are gonna going through this pipeline to help you, to assist you to address this issue, right? So this is what's gonna happen next. And you just scroll down and see, and if you are ready to start, should we start? Yes, let's go. You just hit start. And then we will jump immediately to the phase 1 analysis phase, in which we will delegate a sub-agent doing the issue analysis and code analysis as well. And this is all about sub-agent. This allows your main agent to have your context window protected, not being overflowed, but your sub-agent will doing everything asynchronously for you. And you just watch it happening. So in this phase, we only need one sub-agent for the issue analysis. And then moving to the planning, we need another sub-agent doing the solution planning. And then going to the next and next. So you are fully in the loop and pending for the solution proposal. And if you need some more information, like tell me what's happening in the original issue. Is it really reproducible? Reproduce for me, right? We can have a skill like reproduce. Then a sub-agent will try to reproduce for you to prove that it does happen and allow you to see more context behind this problem. So that is something we want to build as a new experience when we making the PR contribution.
Cool. Thank you. I have to. This is super interesting, and I feel like everybody would want to get their hands on it as well. So first of all, let us know if your thoughts in the chat. I know that there are questions on cost, and my understanding is that we are careful about token usage because we use sub agents, but it's really hard to say how optimized we are because so I think the plan, Thorsten and rest of the group, is to get this in CDK labs for people to use and try it out. We built this for ourselves, to be honest. We built this for the CDK team to move faster, but we thought that there is value for the community as well. So yeah, that's.
Yeah, to add on that, so thanks Pahud for that great demonstration and for that cool tool. Just making sure, for me, it was not about the cost of using the skill in general. It was more about having that ASCII art and that very verbose way of structuring text that's using tokens a lot instead of just putting it, moving white space, basically. Because basically the skill MD is read by the LLM, not by humans, so it could be concise and saving tokens while reading the skill MD. So that was the thing. And I really hope that it will also be published on prompts.dev from fellow hero Christian Bonsolet. Because he's having the powers library for Kiro and all the stuff, so having it listed there would be great.
Cool. All right. For time, we will move to Lena.
Okay, I'm gonna try to see if I can look this up so I can do a. Okay.
Oh. Were you able to share? Okay.
Yes, but I would like to do a split screen thing.
Yeah.
So
maybe you're on night shift right now because it's very yellowish.
Yellow.
Yeah. Extend. Okay.
WinP.
Oh, it's Windows. So it's something.
There's just our keyboard shortcut to do the same.
All right. Well, I'm not sure how to fix it being yellow, so I guess we're gonna deal with it. Okay, let me drag this up. Okay, drag this over. Okay, so that's the main thing I want to show. And there. Okay. So it's gonna be the vended logs mix-in. So with vended logs, it is a vended logs is a sort of infrastructure that AWS services can use to send their logs, or is kind of a service that AWS services can plug into, which then allows them to easily send their logs to Firehose, S3, CloudWatch log groups, and occasionally X-rays. Or you as the user can use one of these services that uses that is enrolled in vended logs to be able to send to either one of those destinations or some combination of them. And the thing with vended logs is that there is additional permissions involved, and there's also additional constructs that you have to set up, as shown here. So the current workflow, if you wanted to set up vended logs with CDK, is you would set up your source resource, you'd set up your destination, And then you would have to set, and in this case, we're going to be using an S3 bucket. You would have to then also set up the bucket policy to make sure that you can get access, just that your logs get delivered properly. And then you also have to set up these three resources, which actually make the destination, which actually make the delivery happen. You have your delivery source, which is connected to your source, delivery destination, connect to your destination, and then delivery, which forms the connection between the two. This is quite annoying because there are a bunch of sharp edges that you can get caught on, such as names have to be unique. You have to know what log type you're sending, or what log type you can send to, which for event bus is pretty easy, but for other for other sources like CloudWatch can be pretty opaque and requires a lot of research. So we are adding to mixins a vended logs mixin, which supports or which makes this process of setting up vended logs much easier. So you still have to set up your source and you still set up your destination bucket. But now to set up both this policy and the set of resources to actually do the delivery, you can do it with a mixin, which is this. So you would have the event bus mixin, you're sending it to info logs, and you're sending it to an S3 destination. And this works with both L1's destinations and L2 destinations, and L1 and L2 sources. So I have my L2 destination, which does not have is not configured with a resource yet. We're looking for, so I'm going to send error logs. Nope. Event bus logs mixin. There we go. We're going to send error logs to the other bucket. And nope, I'm messing up my own API. The perils of deciding to do live coding. So yeah,
type safety though. Great.
yeah. So you have type safety, and it only lets you. So for this, you can only go to error logs, info logs, and trace logs. So it removes the additional overhead of figuring out what logs can I deliver to. It also shows that you can deliver to S3 log groups or CloudWatch log groups or a Firehose delivery stream, which also, or which helps simplify that setup as well. And then when it comes to the actual templates that are generated, these are pretty much this should be comparable to what you would get if you were to do it anyway. This is the custom deletion. So this is the permissions. And this is what the permissions look like on this. No, that's not it. It's further down. No. Okay, well, the permissions will be comparable, will be pretty much the same for both. If I can find it.
And this is why you don't directly encode it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, here we go. So yeah, and then when you go over to your console over here, there, then since I didn't deploy my other event bus, or since I didn't deploy do CDK deploy, then we're only going to see this setup with the this event bus setup with our info logs. But here you go. You have sets up vended logs with info logs based on what you put in, based on what was put in the mixin. So yeah, hopefully this will make using vended logs less painful experience, because I've had to do a lot of testing where I manually set up vended logs, and oh boy, it is painful. So I'm hoping this mixin will make it much better. So yeah.
Cool, thank you, Rena. So I know that we are in the final stages of the Mixins RFC, is that correct?
Yeah.
And we're looking for feedback on it. Guys, I don't know if you can post the link.
Yes.
We'll put the link in, but Mixin, we have heard amazing feedback from customers on Mixins and how much it simplifies things. So we're excited about it, but this is the time to give us feedback on the user experience and design. And whatever little thing that, comes up, please let us know. Because we are actively working on it and listening for comments right now.
Yep. And the vended logs API is, since we're still in preview, it's not final. So if you guys have any feedback about ways that it can be improved, we would love to hear it. So yeah.
Great. Cool. I will now move to Amer.
Hey, so how much time should I use for this? 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
10. I think I'm keeping.
Okay. Well, first off, thank you, Pahud and Leah. Great demos. Hey, everybody. My name is Amir. I've been doing open source for about 25 years now. Past 5-ish years, I've been working on AWS, and I have a couple of open source projects there. And I'm going to share one of them with you today. Let me share my screen, see if that works. You guys see my screen? Yeah, it seems so. So this is the project I'm going to show you today. I've been doing the past few years a lot of AWS consulting, and basically every single company I've worked for, they always needed GitHub self-hosted runners. And for those of you who might not know, GitHub has GitHub workflows, GitHub Actions that allows you to run CI on their servers. Sometimes you want to run it on your own servers, right? Sometimes you want access to an internal database, or you want to customize the runner a bit more than what GitHub lets you, or a bit more than what the new code build GitHub self-hosted runners lets you. So this project lets you do that. I'm not going to go too deep into everything, but I do want to focus on a couple of things that I really wish everybody steals and uses in their projects as well. But let's start with a quick demo. So I have a CDK project here. We're going to initialize one using TypeScript. Then we're going to go to install the library. It's usually faster. I'm sorry. There we go. So let's install that one now. And then we'll do a very simple basic spec. So we just import the main construct. It's called GitHub runners, and we initialize it. The defaults are good enough. You don't need, there's a lot of customization possible, but the default to get started is good enough. So the first step you always have to do with GitHub runners, with self-hosted GitHub runners, is register them and connect them to GitHub and everything. And I have had the pleasure of using the other two big solutions right now that GitHub fully supports. They have one for Kubernetes and one that's using Terraform, more of a I thought I shared the project here. I'm more of
Yeah.
a CDK guy, so I don't usually go for Terraform, but I tried using that as well, and I tried using Kubernetes. And the main pain points that I felt, and this is again what I really want other people to steal, is that the setup process is just a lot of documentation. There's a lot of text of what you have to do, which is why for this, what I did is, and I'm not going to debug it. I'm just going to show you how it works. So this is the one I deployed earlier that I have for integration testing. And when you use this construct, the GitHub runners construct, what it does is it automatically adds an output to the CloudFormation stack that is a status function, right? So if you run this one in your command line, it's going to run a Lambda function that, again, the construct created for you, and that will return the status of the system, right? So instead of reading documentation, figure out where everything is, where all the logs are, what's the status, if it's working, if it's not working, how to install it, you just get a JSON file that gives you everything. So it has all the secrets, all the logs, even a little bit of history, and it has the second thing that please steal from me is the setup URL. So the status of the system lets everybody just automatically jump in without reading any documentation. And the setup URL lets everybody install it without reading any documentation.
You picked the secret, not the setup.
Thank you for that. Yep, there we go. So the setup, what it gives you is, again, is another function that the construct deploys, and it gives you just a setup wizard, right? So you can pretty quickly install connect it to GitHub, right? So if you just select the most common things, the defaults, just connect to github.com. If you have self-hosted GitHub, you can also do that. Create a new GitHub app is the recommended thing, and user app is the recommended thing as well. If it creates, it sends you to GitHub, you give it a name. Doesn't even matter if you have a lot of typos, but we're gonna fix that. And you get an app, and it's automatically connected to everything. You don't need to update webhooks. You don't need to input secrets. You don't have to set anything up. It just connected for you. You do have to install it later, which is just selecting which repos it goes on. But I am just going to use the one that I already have, the app that I already have, just so it's easier to show working and testing. But if you've ever had the opportunity to create GitHub apps, or again, connect it to AWS or connect it to any self-hosted runner, there's a lot of moving parts. Again, it's mostly secrets and webhooks, and you have to get everything exactly right. And every small mistake is just a race to debug it again. So again, please steal it. It just sets things up for you, and you don't have to read documentation where there's a wizard. And once this is installed, and again, installed on the specific GitHub repositories as well, then I'm going to show you my integration test, which they all run on the self-hosted GitHub that we just created. And you just run it. Yeah, I have all the different configurations that the integration test go for. So again, you could use code build AWS, the new one that they have. But if you need a bit more configuration, you can use ECS, you can use code build. You can even run GitHub runners on Lambda, Fargate, EC2 Windows. You can do, I forgot what they call it, but the fast startup runners for Windows, and a bunch of interesting stuff like that. And what this ends up as in AWS is we have, I'm not going to go again too deep into how this works. If you want, I'll be happy to talk about it for specific questions, but just so you can see it end to end, it didn't because I just installed a new app, sorry. But when it does work, because I didn't mess up the installation, it starts a new step function execution, and the step function execution based on the labels, it selects the right runner provider, and it provisions the resources, and inside it runs the GitHub runner for you. one more thing I would love for people to steal from this is all these providers, right, are using resources completely deployed inside my account. That includes the images as well. So the image that contains all the software that needed to run the GitHub runner, it's all built inside the account. It doesn't pull anything from the outside. And it also automatically gets rebuilt by default. You can change it every week, which means security is kept and you get the latest security updates, and it's always up to date. Yeah, I think that's mostly what I wanted to show. Are there any questions, any focus points I should have, or something someone wants to ask?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, actually, we have time for questions. Sorry, Thorsten, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say this is really amazing. So yeah, looking
Thank you.
for questions. So
Yeah, it was a little shorter than I thought because this nice demo decided to fail on me. But
yeah, that
yeah,
was
I can.
just you initialized the library instead of an app.
Thank you.
I
I
mean,
believe
this
it.
happens
Yep.
to all of us.
Oh yeah, this is, since you mentioned the library, another thing that I wanted to mention is this project uses Progen. And if anyone hasn't seen Progen, it's just an amazing tool to create CDK GitHub. Sorry, not GitHub, just CDK constructs, right? So it takes care of all the details that you don't necessarily want to. So for example, the thing I like the most about it is that it generates a workflow that just releases everything for you, right? Like all this is generated by Progen. You don't have to deal with any of this. And when I say this, I mean publishing to NPM, publishing to Python, to PyPy, publishing to Maven, and publishing even to NuGet for .NET, and even does the Go releases. So instead of dealing with all the publishing and all the linting and packaging, you just focus on your code and your business logic, and you create a pretty nice package. So if you do want to create constructs for CDK, Progen is highly recommended, and it's also an AWS project. And
Totally.
I forgot the name, but is it Momo?
Yeah, it's Momo. Momo is the main contributor right now.
Yeah, Momo is amazing. If you have issues with Progen, he will answer them before you even have the issue. Like he knows. So shout out to Momo.
He's going to be dialing into the next session because that's a more comfortable time for him. But thank you for that. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. Cool. Yeah, open to questions or anything that the community thinks we should discuss. Or if there aren't questions, we also wanted to talk about something. Kaizen wanted to talk about something. It's not vetted. It's a mystery.
Yeah, I can provide a teaser for something I'm thinking of. If you'd like, this is an opportunity to get in on the ground level of something I've been trying to cook up, which is to improve our triaging process for issues, and make it more clear for contributors what issues we would like to see worked on. And so anecdotally in the past, I've heard that that's something that we struggle with, and we have 2,300 issues. And that is a yellow flag for our community health. So this is something that I've been trying to work on, and I'm hoping that we can get to a point where we can start off with a completely automated triage process and build workflows to help move issues between different buckets depending on how much community support that they get, to show demonstrated impact to our customers based off of interactions on GitHub or other places. And that's going to be the holy grail of issues that we would love PRs for. And as Pranita says, this is not vetted. This is in my brain and in a doc. And
probably coming up in an RFC.
Right, so we've also had feedback of us doing things internally too much and only externalizing after we've already made a decision. I promise nobody has signed off on this that matters. You'll probably see me around a little bit more. And if you're interested in community health or in building a better system for our community, I am hoping to get a lot of feedback. And who knows where it will go. I'm not promising anything, but it's just an idea that I have. So that's the teaser. I'll be around in CDK Dev for interested parties.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks for that.
I think anything we do for community management now also helps CDK terrain, hopefully, and we should think of exposing the same ideas across the different projects.
Yeah, definitely we would appreciate, and we already planned for that, like, oh, we need some workflows that do that and they do that. Like, let's wait. The CDK team has the same problems. Maybe they fix it for us.
That's a good strategy. Awesome. So we are open to take questions or any pain points you have on CDK. This is what this meeting is for. You don't have to be nice to us. Let us, come on or put something in the chat if there's anything you'd like us to discuss more.
Yeah, go ahead. You can write it in the chat and I will be the one not being nice to AWS. That's fine.
It's Thorsten's superpower. Well, I do want to tee up one thing. Now that we are thinking of contribution skills, our next problem is how do we deal with the flood of PRs we'll get? And in the next session, one of the demos is how we internally use a PR review tool. And this is really interesting even for you as CDK developers to check out, because I think it'll be helpful for anyone writing CDK. So that's in the next session. I wish we could have parity among sessions, but just because our team is global, that is really hard to do. But this is what videos are for, so we should be okay.
Exactly. That's what the YouTube channel is for. So you can asynchronously. But yeah, definitely looking forward for PR reviews, because we can also steal that for other open source libraries that we're doing for CDK. And you might also want to talk to the security agent team, because they're also doing PR reviews. So maybe they can, or you can influence each other on ideas.
Yeah, and I know internally we've been doing a lot of that. So we only build tools when it's very CDK specific. Otherwise, we want to use the existing tools that we have.
It's fine. It's totally different things, because one is a tool that you install in your enterprise, and the other thing is something for open source libraries. But maybe some of the ideas can be reused.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, cool. I don't see a lot of questions. I don't want to hold people up. So thank you for joining us today. And Thorsten, thank you for co-hosting with me. I appreciate everybody's time. And let's continue conversation on the CDK Slack. Thanks all.
Yeah. Thanks
Thanks,
all
everybody.
Thanks all for presenting. Thanks all for joining, and see you in 12 hours for the other session, or
Thank you, Amir. Yeah, bye.
see you. Bye-bye.